Hey Ryan, Michael Galloway here with WeDon'tNeedNoStinkingRecordCompany.com, and we've been geeking out on recording stuff just a little bit, talking about some recording techniques, and I just thought I would phone a friend, call in an expert, and today we got with us just a really excellent engineer and a tremendously experienced music industry expert, but we're going to talk recording right now. His name is Dave Williams. And he is a partner and an operator of Vault Studios down in Houston, which is just a great little place that just gets great sounds. And I've been down there and recorded before with one of his buddies, Michael Reams, Michael the Mudcat Reams. And they've just been cranking out a great album down there and doing some terrific work. And I've heard some of the work you've done. David, are you there?
Yes, I am, Brian.
Okay. Well, one of the things I know about you, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is I understand that you've got a long history as a drummer, not just as a recording engineer, or I know you've also been a recording company executive, but I understand you've played with like Hall & Oates and the OJs, which might have been your longest gig, and with Diana Ross. Is all that correct?
Yeah, and a few other, really great artists like Patti LaBelle, Bette Midler.
Okay.
And really fine talent.
And if you can,
I've been fortunate.
Yeah, well, if you continue to talk pretty loud, because I'm not sure the camera's picking you up right now. One of the things that I think is pretty cool is to have a drummer who's also somebody who is, a recordist and a recording engineer, because drums, I think, are probably just about the hardest thing to record and get right. And so I wanted to talk to you a little bit about drum recording techniques, and then maybe a little bit later about what might be for drums and vocals and other instruments, what might be some microphones if you had your wish list. What would you want, and then maybe some cheap options that some of us with our home recording studios might be able to do. But for me, having fancy equipment is a little bit like photographers having a fancy piece of equipment. The fact is that they could do great pictures with a box camera because they know what they're doing. It's just that better equipment makes it easier. So would you agree that engineering's kind of the same way when you're recording?
Definitely the same way, and your analogy is great, because I've seen some excellent results with a pinhole camera, just like I've seen studios that were sparsely equipped. What you were talking about earlier in terms of drum sounds, as a drummer, it's been my experience that I don't care how you mic the kit, you can use the greatest mics in the world, you can use Sennheiser 421s and SM57 Shure mics. It's the player and the drum set. If you can get the player to play the drums properly, sometimes you have to hit it a little bit harder than you normally would on a live gig, or a little bit softer, or lighten up on the crash cymbal. And then adding the mics is like the icing on the cake. For instance, Ryan, even with, I seem to remember a session you were doing down at the studio where, we got a really good drum sound because the drummer was a Class A studio musician. So that, along with, you were talking about some of the microphones I have a preference for.
Well, let's Dave,
yeah.
let's save that for a different discussion. I like just what you're talking about just there. Let's talk about the drummer a little bit more. So, what kind of thing are you talking about? Like whether, for instance, the drummer hits in the middle of the head or to the side of the head and stuff like that. What kinds of things? Or is it just balance? Just being able to say to a drummer, I need you to hit the crash a little lighter, and I need you to hit the snare a little harder, and have them good enough to adjust? Is that kind of where it's coming from?
Right. Well, you know what? It's actually consistency. Like with the kick drum, if you're starting at a certain level, other than the song having certain dynamics where you have to lighten up, but in most commercial or popular music recording, the levels are going to be the same. So, I'd like to have the drummer hit the snare drum however he's going to hit it, in the center of the head or on the side of the rim. Be consistent. That consistency will now allow me to use whatever my microphone setup is, 7/8 mics or a stereo overhead miking pattern, I should be able to get good results.
So
there
when
are some engineers that I've run into who might only use 4 microphones on a kit. But, he knows who the drummer is, what kind of set is involved, whether the heads are dampened, whether there are so many variables. It starts with a good studio drummer and a good sounding drum set.
Okay.
The rest of it after that is downhill and shady.
Let's close off that one right now, and we'll come back and we're going to talk some more. I am Ryan Michael Galloway here with Dave Williams from the Vault Studios in Houston, and I'm with We Don't Need No Stinking Record Company.com, and we'll be right back tomorrow night.